Well, hello, life group leaders. Again, thank you for the invaluable role that you're playing in developing this body to be the body of Jesus it's supposed to be. We're doing these little training talks because we really believe that one of the ways that our church will reach its goals is if hosts really become leaders. When you're just a host, maybe you think more about hosting a meeting, but when you're a leader, you think about, well, how do I turn this group into a team? What is the secret to really developing their potential? The highest goal would be that you go from thinking of how can I minister to people to how can I minister with people. How could I bring out the talents of this group, maybe even in a way that we become a little platoon that makes a huge difference. I love it when Sharon was first starting leading a group, and a little ladies group, and I remember she eventually turned them into this team they called Ladies in Pink, and they would go out to neighborhoods dressed in their pink shirts and give out food. Even Marita this week at church is doing a kids service. The kids are leading it. That's a whole nother level. And so part of that is what we're going to be talking about in the lesson today, that a leader is a broker of people's spiritual gifts. A leader is someone who looks to bring out the potential in people and get all of that working as a great team. And you know how important that is if you have kids, that literally finding their gifts and each person's place in the family makes a family work so much better. So let me just talk a little bit about what you're going to do this week. My hope is that you're going to be a spiritual gift coach. As we talk about spiritual gifts and activating people in the ministry, the goal is that people in your group would not only start to know more their gifts, but step into roles in the church that will allow us to fulfill our redemptive potential and destiny. So here's what I'm challenging you to do this week. Number one is that you'll help people in your group understand the process of discovering their gift. I was reminded of how important this is when I was talking, maybe most all of you know Virginia Arnold, one of our really wonderful prayer altar teams. Come to find out that she never ever had done prayer ministry or altar ministry till she was past 60 years old. And it was only when she was in one of our one-on-one classes that Thomas Bolger was leading where she discovered that she could be someone who prayed for other people. It just amazes me that was inside of her all those years, but until a coach came alongside of her, that gift never came to the surface. So we're going to be in the lesson talking a little bit about how people know their gift. And the key to that would be you asking questions, and those questions will be in your outline, but illustrating how you came to come to understand some of your spiritual gifts by sharing a little bit of your own story. I'm going to ask you to kind of go through what the spiritual gifts are so that you can define it for people. And then we're also going to have a little spiritual gift questionnaire that very simple, you'll see. Hopefully you can help people fill out. That's going to help direct them towards a spot. One of the other things will be, you'll see that we'll be talking about the lids that keep people. We'll be teaching from 2 Timothy 1:5 where he says, Timothy, don't be bound by a spirit of fear. What you'll find is that the people in your group, many of them have had spiritual lids put on them, a spirit of fear. Timothy had timidity, the fear of failure, the fear of I'm not good enough, the fear that I can't do anything, I'm just a layman. And so the other part of this whole event is as you begin to help people peel away whatever their fears are about serving God and letting them know God can just use them as they are. And literally in this lesson, really asking you to lay hands on them and activate the gifts. As Paul said, stir them up. And another huge part of it is just getting the group to start affirm in other people what they don't see in themselves. And just tell people that's something we're going to do today, but that's something as a group we plan to do is is discover each other. You know, a star is born simply when a talent agent discovers them. And so we want to discover each other. A couple of very practical things. Number one is that you would understand sort of our process of deploying people into various roles in the church. I call it an ABC process, so that you'll know. Number one is just ask people to apply. In fact, Sunday they could put their name in and where they're interested. Number two is that they'll be contacted. One of the things we have at our church, maybe you might not even be aware of it, that Rochelle Jenkins is our ministry activator. We're so excited to have her on staff as someone who's just helping activate people into ministry. So she helps contact them. And then the third place is just that they're invited to come alongside. And maybe if you're already in a ministry, a huge thing you could do is just invite the people in your group, or if someone else is in a ministry, just say, hey, why don't you shadow me this week? I work in kids ministry. I work as a greeter. We want to get as many people who if they'll just kind of come, see, test it, that will help people begin to get into place of serving. The other thing just to be aware of is we believe that everyone who comes into ministry at the church should come through a servant's door. So we have a number of servant level, entry level positions. Nobody starts on stage. Everybody starts in some way just being a helper. And so we want to encourage people not to worry if they're just put, because that's where God often raises them. And then just to let people know that we're going to have a third class. Now we're calling our Next Step series, Welcome to the Family. Now we're calling it Believe, Belong, Become, and Bring. And Believe is for new Christians. Belong is for membership. And Become is for discovering your spiritual gifts. So that will be taking place next month. And we'll really go very deep into this. And maybe you can encourage people to come. So as your group gathers, challenge them to be a part of a ministry in the church. I hope you will. Also, just as a way of announcement, on October 7th, right after the end of the campaign, our Wednesday night service will be a big, what we call Ministry Connect Night. We'll be talking about the Harvest Party, which is probably one of the best places for people to get plugged into ministry. And we'll also be letting the different ministry leaders be introduced, and people can kind of connect that way if they're not in a group. And then one other announcement I want to make is the fact that next week we'll be talking about the church as the light of the world, that the church is the only organization that exists for its non-members. And we'll be inviting you to think of how could your group use their gifts in some way to bless our community. Maybe someone in your group, or someone you know, a single mom, or someone you as a group would like to go bless them, help them with their air conditioner, who knows. Or we're going to gather that Saturday morning, the 27th, go to a nursing home, give out bags at Tent City or something. But I really want to encourage you to challenge your group to do this activity together. Maybe you just want to do a prayer walk together at the university or something. But discuss that a little bit with your group, and that'll help activate them as well. Again, thank you for what you do, and God bless you.